Hey everybody, it's Greg from Park Journey. Hope you're all doing well. So last night we went to the very first night of Scream Break at Six Flags Magic Mountain. First time they've ever done a springtime or spring break Halloween event. So I just had some thoughts on the event. I wanted to share with you. We're going to be out of town coming up Tuesday for a week, so I wanted to get this done today. It's another gloomy day here in Southern California, so I'm in the house doing chores before we are gone. So I figured I'd put this together real quick and get it out to you. But before I do, I'm going to get into it real quick. But before I do, make sure you click below to subscribe to our channel. So as I mentioned, last night was the very first spring screen break. I keep saying spring break, and I will say, like, we had a really good time. I went with Gabe from Theme Park Duo. We had a fantastic time. We saw some other blogs out there as well. So we all kind of seemed like to have the same idea that it was just a really fun event. They did kind of the last minute add in free tickets for pass holders, which is why we went last night. I wasn't going to go this weekend. The media night is next weekend. We're going to be out of town. We are sending AJ to cover that. And then I was hoping to maybe go back, the week after we're back in town. And I can tell you right now, we're probably definitely going to go back because we had just an absolute blast. So maybe it's just me. I didn't really pick up on, I don't know why I didn't pick up on it, that spring break is kind of like all the monsters are kind of on spring break, right? You may have noticed I've been kind of checked out from Park Journey the last few weeks after Super Nintendo World and everything. It was kind of nice to take a little break. So I probably didn't read the press release as much as I should have, to be honest with you. But we had an absolute blast. It took like 2 seconds for me to like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. I see where they're going with this. So we got to the park, just so you know kind of how the wristband things work if you're a pass holder. So we got to the park about 6 and went straight to the membership booth. They only had two people checking people in for the event, and they were having me to like write down the number. So it was a little bit of a slow process to be honest with you. But first night, not gonna knock it. And then we went and did single rider for Revolution, which if you've done single rider, you know that the entrance is on the load side, and then they told us that we had to go around to the exit side and go in that way. And we had like a 5 train wait, and we ended up riding together. So I don't know what's going on there operationally, to be honest with you. And then we used our skip the line for West Coast Racers. Super fun. Had a great ride on it. And then we went to get some tacos. There was no tacos. We went to like 3 places. There was no tacos for tacos and beer. So I will say we did talk to some of the staff, PRSP staff at the park last night. We let them know. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they're going to address that. They were a little bit surprised. And then we basically just kind of wandered around the park, got some mac and cheese at the Full Throttle place before Screen Break opened. So basically the event starts at 9. So the park closes at 8. So they basically clear the park. They're trying to clear the park. They're checking everybody's wristband. But they do open up the 2 mazes and the scare zone that is right by Full Throttle at 8. So if you have a wristband already, you can go in and do that. And we didn't realize that at first. And then we saw people going in there. So they check your wristband before you go in there in that area. And basically, I think kind of what they want you to do is just kind of hang out in there for an hour, to be honest with you. Because we had actually left about 7:30, 7:45 to walk back to the rest of it. And we had kind of got stopped at Food Etc. and had to wait for them to do that. So I think they just kind of want everybody to kind of stay in the Full Throttle area and that area where Vault and Condemned is. So keep that in mind when you're going. So just kind of hang out there. They got a bar there. They got food there. 2 mazes. There's a scare zone there. The restrooms are there. So easily can kill an hour waiting for the rest of the event to open. So basically, hang out there for an hour, do the mazes, do the scare zones, have a drink, have a snack, do whatever you got to do. So to the mazes. So we went in and looked like the first maze that was open was Condemned. So which is kind of like a house party, Condemned house party, right? Duh. And so we went in the maze. I said this in a video last night, but I'm going to repeat it here. If they don't keep this theme for Fright Fest, if they're keeping Condemned for Fright Fest, which I mean it's Fright Fest, I'm sure they're going to keep Condemned. And they don't just continue this theme for Condemned this year, I'm going to be kind of pissed because it was a load of fun. Now I will say, not scary. Again, it takes a lot for us to get scared these days. Like my wife scared me walking in the kitchen more the other day than I've got scared at a Halloween event in years. So keep that in mind. So it's a fun house. It's like, but not a fun house. It's a fun house. right? Or a fun party house. So they've got like the red cups everywhere. They've got lights everywhere. You can see more of Condemned than you've ever been able to see before because it's a very dark maze. But like on the TV, they've got like, spring break stuff going on. They're just having, the monsters are basically having a party. So they're all in their Fright Fest makeup and they're having a party, toga party, all this stuff. There's music going on, party music, and you're just going through it and you're having an absolute blast. So that was definitely the highlight of the two mazes. We had a great time with it. The park obviously had a really great time putting it together. Entertainment loved it. Again, talking with PR last night, they basically, everybody from entertainment came together. They just kind of had fun with this, and it shows. And that is what this event needed to be. Now, on the flip side, they had Vault open as well. It was supposed to be like kind of like a Vault initiation, kind of like, I guess, a sorority or, Greek, whatever it is. We didn't notice anything different inside the maze itself. There was some audio differences. But other than that, we didn't really get the spring break theme of it, to be honest with you. So don't go into Vault thinking it's anything else than what it is at Fright Fest. I mean, honestly, like, let's be honest, Vault has been at Fright Fest for way too long now. So hopefully this is kind of the last go for Vault. It kind of needs to, something needs to happen with it, to be honest with you. But we still had fun. We did both mazes twice. So we did both within, the 7 to 8 or the 8 to 9 hour, excuse me. And then we came back and did them on the way out as well. And there was no lines. Like, I think we waited the first time we did Condemned, we waited 5 minutes, and I think Vault was maybe 10 minutes. But again, just like with Fright Fest, very low capacity as far as, you're letting in 6 to 8 people per group, no line, no conga lines, nothing like that. So, you know what you're going to get. And again, kind of something we talked about last year with Fright Fest is, in the Condemned house, they were having fun and they're in character and, they're not screaming in your face, bah, all the stuff that they do at Fright Fest. Vault, the opposite, they're still doing just screaming at you, and it's not scary. And we talked about this before. I'm not going to get into it again, but, I think that they need to kind of switch that up. Now, as you're walking back towards DC Universe, the area, they didn't do the scare zone that they did in Bugs Bunny World. They actually moved it out of Bugs Bunny World. Bonus, because it's the main walkway. So there's like sound effects. There was fog and lights on the Golden Bear Theater, and then there's kind of like a vampire prom. There's like chandeliers in the trees. Really great. Here's some pictures. For you to check out. It just was really, really cool lighting. Shout out to Zach for tremendous lighting as always. Loved it. And then, some monsters in there, things like that. So really, really well done. And then kind of just under Superman, they had like some disco balls, and it gave like really great lighting to that area. Again, just, they need to, we loved it. And then, so basically they didn't use DC Universe as the scare zone. So basically the plaza that's there's a DJ there, some of the stuff from the underground scare zone. So the neon and stuff, and it worked. Then they had the clowns there. They're doing, all the clown stuff. They're sliding, but it was more kind of just that area. So, really, really great. Really, the clowns are always great. We had an absolute blast with them. We went through there a few times. Now, as far as the rides are concerned, there were supposed to be 6 coasters open: Full Throttle, Goliath, Twisted Colossus, Scream, Wonder Woman, and Batman. Only 3 were open: Batman, Twisted Colossus, and Full Throttle. Goliath has been under refurb for a while now. I don't know why that was even on the list. Scream has been closed. I don't know why that was on the list. And then Wonder Woman was pretty much down like the entire day that we were there, the entire time that we were there. So wasn't really surprised that was open. They had the 3 trains sitting out there. But to be honest, like, I think maybe because they weren't selling a whole lot of tickets and they opened up to pass holders, it wasn't really as big of a deal. And I still think it was worth, if you had paid the $40, I think it was actually worth, the event was actually worth the $40, to be honest with you. The lines were non-existent. We walked on Full Throttle, not Full Throttle, Twisted Colossus. Here's a picture of us walking into the queue. It's just empty. Batman, we walked pretty much on it as well. And then we didn't do Full Throttle, but it looked pretty short as well. So, as far as that's concerned, I think that was a win. Obviously, if it gets busier in the next few weekends, which I hope it does, I hope the word of mouth spreads. They're going to need to open up more than just 3 coasters, to be honest with you. But they also had the Roundup open. They had Lex Luthor was open, and I think the swings were open as well. So they did have some of the flat rides open as well, to kind of compensate for not having, the couple of the coasters open. So that was good too. Now, as far as operationally, I will say that I hope, kind of the point of this, I hope that they kind of bring in some of these operational changes for Fright Fest, namely clearing the park. I'm going to be honest with you, like that made a huge difference. And instead of just having that mix in that you always have with Fright Fest, you've got the day and night, and then it's just slammed with people. So basically, you got to get a wristband. So if you are a pass holder, you want to stay, you got to get a wristband. Limited quantities, right? You limit the event, the size of the event, but then you can also have the separate ticket, for Fright Fest, like you were doing with Screen Break, and then you have the Fright Fest pass that is just for Fright Fest. You come, you get your wristband, right, and you're done. I think that that's what they need to do in order to help Fright Fest. That's step one. I really think that this is kind of a test for that. I don't think that Fright Fest is going to ever be, or should it be, a full separate ticket event, but I think the combination of pass holders on a limited quantity. So like you have to get there, you have to get your wristband, you have to do that. Just buying a Fright Fest ticket for $40 or whatever, and then people that have like the Fright Fest pass, I think that that's a good combo. And then you got to clear the park. So how you do that? So basically what they were doing is they were clearing the park. They were walking everybody out. It took, a good hour. Obviously, I think on a Saturday in October, it's going to take a little bit longer than an hour to kind of clear the park. Plus, they usually start Fright Fest at 7, and this started at 9. So they're going to have to adjust their times as well. But I think that that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Fright Fest starting at 9 to midnight versus the 7 to 10, that it is some nights. So I think that that's actually good. So I hope they kind of incorporate some of those things into Fright Fest operationally. Now, we've talked about this in the past. We've talked about it on Gabe's podcast. We've talked about it on video here. We've talked about it in our blog updates. Fright Fest does not need to be the entire park. Period. It's just the park is too big, and concentrating on a more specific area and just having talent and scare actors and, everywhere works better than having a random scare zone walking up the hill to X2 with like one person in there. Or you have the scare zone by, West Coast Racers that has like 2 zombies in it. It doesn't, or Twisted Colossus, Territory Twisted has like 2 people in it. I would much rather have half of the park, so basically full throttle, maybe around tour to West Coast Racers as Fright Fest, and leave the whole other part. And again, that would mean getting rid of Nightmares, which sucks because that's one of our favorites. But you can kind of move that over to that Bugs Bunny World area, I think. Doing it just in that area, and that's it. Like, and just slamming it, and not even Territory Twisted. Like, leave that out of it. So you basically got, your Full Throttle Nights area, which is always a fun. Maybe the front of the park too. I don't know. I'm actually even okay with ditching the Devil's Triangle that they had last year and moving that somewhere else. So like you've got your Full Throttle Nights. You've got your little like that mini scare zone that's by Vault and Condemned. Keep that too because it worked. It was a small area and it worked. And then you've got your scare zone that you're gonna do. Outside of Bugs Bunny World, make that Nightmares. I'm fine with it. Or Devil's Triangle. I'm okay with that too. Or the one that they did at Bugs Bunny World, just move that out into the main walkway. You've got your City Under Siege, and then you've got your Metropolis. Again, put Devil's Triangle there, put, whatever it is. And then you've got your, your Full Throttle, your West Coast Racers Underground Scare Zone. And that's it. Like, that's all you need. You got 2 mazes on the top. That's fine. You don't necessarily need a scare zone up there because, again, you got like 3 people in the scare zone. You don't necessarily need it, but you've got 2 mazes up there. I understand that you got to keep, more mazes. And then obviously you've got the Aftermath down by West Coast Racers. So you kind of have, you're not really losing any mazes doing it this way. You're basically losing the scare zone up the top, which sucks because you're going to lose Innocence. I hate it. Or maybe you just have Innocence up there. Maybe she's just out there just doing her thing, which is, I'm okay with that too. But really just nail it down a smaller footprint for Fright Fest because the park is huge. You can't have a park of that size just slammed wall to wall with it. There's not enough people to hire. It's just, let's be honest with you. you know, there's not enough talent out there during Halloween season because everybody's doing their own events. There's not enough people to come in and do the fantastic makeup and costumes and stuff for that many people every single night. It's just it's not humanly possible. So it's either Fright Fest stays the way that it's been and kind of just spreads everything out, and you've got little pockets here, or you just again just concentrate it on these specific areas and just kill it. And that's what they did last night. So kudos to the Magic Mountain Entertainment team. Kudos to everybody that worked on this. You could tell that they had a blast. You could tell that the scare actors were having the time of their lives. They were loving it. So much interactions, and which is always what Fright Fest does better than anybody else as far as monster interactions in the scare zone. Just amazing. I hope it's successful. If you went last night, let us know what you thought in the comments. If you do go, in the next few weeks or tonight, it's raining. I don't know if they're going to even do it tonight. We'll see. But if you go, let us know what you think. We'll share it. Again, as I mentioned, AJ will be there next week for media night on Saturday. And then, we'll probably go back the following weekend once we get back from our trip to Canada. So, but seriously, kudos all around. I really hope that this is just, like I said, kind of a precursor to what they want to do with Fright Fest. I think it worked. I think it will work. And I hope it's successful. So check it out if you haven't. We'll put the description for Screen Break in the description of the video. Thanks everybody for watching. Take care, and we will talk to you soon.